let's start with, are we in a simulation? You had this on the topics. I know it's something we keep going back to, but let's start there and wonder if, like, Canada, what's going on in Canada? Is this just a simulation? What's going on with Biden overseas while America's burning and being poisoned? Yeah, just money laundering in Ukraine. Is this a simulation? There you have it. Are we living in a simulation? Blake, do you agree that we're living in a simulation, or do you disagree? And this question goes out to Space Ace and anybody else listening as well. Leave your message in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking. What say you, Blake?
This is a very complicated question. Hard to give a yes, no for something like that. Depending on how they phrased simulation, I think we're living in an artificial reality. Now, Stephanie also, she sent us a link yesterday, a video clip of this Eric Weinstein, physicist. He's frequent guest.
Weinstein, Berenstain, East Palestine,
Yeah.
Palestine.
Something like that. Yeah, exactly.
It's a thread.
But he was making some kind of a reference to that we could all be, like where they study, say, an octopus or different dolphins or stuff, animals that have a certain level of intelligence, or rats in a cage or what have you. But are we perhaps under some kind of an observation?
We're going to study orcas. We assume that we are smarter than orcas. Or if we're going to study cephalopods, right, like an octopus, we think we're smarter. And what do? We disguise ourselves. We create artificial environments. We do all sorts of crazy things based on the fact that we're smarter than what we study, from everything from rocks to orcas. The doubly scientific method says, okay, assume that you're studying a rat in a maze, but you yourself are the rat in somebody else's maze. Now you have to look up the intelligence scale, not just down. And in the doubly scientific method, you have to assume that whatever is studying you is hiding from you the way you are hiding from your subjects.
Now, I don't really like the technocrats version of, we're living in a simulation just because, someday far off into the future, people will have the capability of making a simulation. So therefore, it's true. Like, come on now. I don't think it's be very difficult to make something as complex as a human and our consciousness and just put it into a computer program like the Matrix. I'm not quite on board with that. But yeah, in a way, it feels like we certainly are. I think we're probably being studied like we're zoo animals. I think if there are intelligent life around the universe, they're probably watching us like a reality show. Like, what are these people going to do? Are they going to evolve to the next level, or are they doomed to fail and they're going to, nuke themselves? I think that's part of all the Eric Weinstein thing too, was like, can we use like a certain technology to go visit into the stars and travel the universe, or would we blow ourselves up because we're not responsible enough to handle the tech?
My belief is very shortly before you get the ability to traverse the cosmos, if that is possible, you let off a nuke.
So I don't think we're living in like a computer simulation, but it's an artificial reality because the people that rule this planet have created certain rules that we live by. And it doesn't have to be like this. So we're just kind of reacting.
I love the concept. I absolutely love the concept of being in a simulation. But I typed there in the comments, it kind of reminds me a little bit more of a video game. Yeah. End of the day, what's the difference? You got Koopa Troopers running around, you got Bowser, you got, all sorts of weird, wacky little gremlin things. And we're reacting to the environment. There's a creator, a god, a omnipotent, omniscient being that programmed the universe, created the universe, spoke it into existence. I am, you're the video game creator, the creator. It's and then the zoo theory that you mentioned, that's really big in Ancient Aliens. and I'm using this chat, so I'm jotting things down while you're typing, so I don't interrupt you. But then I
And
have like a record, so I
coincidentally
can
with Mike
remind myself
Barra,
to go back.
right.
It's kind of neat that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the ancient aliens theory that we're in a zoo and we're being observed, we're being watched, we're being studied, and it's a big component to the movie that I'm working on. You know, where we are watched as entertainment, a little Truman Show. You know, it's a tale as old as time. You know, this story has been discussed 1,000 different ways, kind of overlapping in mainly the same way. It's just like, are we ants in an ant farm? Is this an alien ant farm, like that band that covered Smooth Criminal?
No.
It's hard to make sense about what's going on in the news right now, because none of it really seems to pass like a basic test of common sense, decency. The obvious stuff isn't obvious. You just look at this stuff, you're like, none of this is real. None of this is, like, you can lie to me you can pee on my leg until your bladder's empty. It doesn't make it rain. It doesn't make it precipitation. Space Ace is saying he doesn't think it's a simulation, but he recently got into the idea that we're living in a post-apocalyptic reality. I'm going to pretend world. So a post-apocalyptic, are you saying we've already destroyed everything and this is like the remnants of our consciousness trying to like yelp about it a little bit? Like we're trying to yap. We're that little dog trying to make some noise before we get hit by the car, but we know we're eventually going to get hit by the car. So if we're in a post-apocalyptic reality, that's after apocalypse. Apocalypse just meaning the revelation, the revealing. It doesn't necessarily mean cataclysm. It just means what was hidden, what was obscured, what was occulted has now been lifted and it's been revealed in an apocalypse, a revelation, in an I'm going to pretend world. I mean, yeah, we got, like you said, the weather's changed. It's been really nice the past couple of days, but it's like, what are you and I doing? We're putting on headphones, sitting in our chair, and we're talking in our virtual world. That's what we do. It's our favorite thing, you know, and then we connect with people that may or may not exist. These could just be chatbots. This could just be artificial programmed AI. Maybe these people aren't even people, Space Ace, right? You know, and he's saying it's hard to explain. Hard to explain in a YouTube. No, it's hard to explain in general. I totally get that. But no, I like the concept that the people we interact with, they're just all NPCs. Maybe you're an NPC, but maybe I'm an NPC.
Yeah.
That's
this is all programmed. It's just an algorithmic program, and I'm just spewing whatever the computer wants.
Okay. Space Ace saying basically whatever was supposed to happen has happened. Jesus has come back and the world has ended, and they just keep it propped up like this and they keep us as slaves. I mean, you know,
I can't rule it out. I don't necessarily believe that, but I can't prove it wrong. So we can present all kinds of theories. Yeah.
And so the question is, what are we supposed to be doing while we are here? What is the point of this existence? I don't know, Blake. I mean, you and I, we like ruffling feathers and calling out liars.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to believe that we were, we could make a difference. We had this future that is indefinite, you know, but it was being ruled by the wrong people. And if we could somehow reach the masses, get a mass awakening, that we could go to the next level, if you want, and human enlightenment, or perhaps the Star Trek type of world where we start exploring the galaxy. But we're a long way away from that. And I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm starting to think that our society might be doomed, and that we go through a cycle every 12,000 years or so, where there is a cataclysm, like the solar system sort of resets, that there have been civilizations here before. Humanity hasn't really been here on the earth that long, but really go back a few thousand years, there really isn't a lot going on past 3,000-4,000 years, a lot of recorded history. There's some interesting civilizations, but if you go way back into perhaps the times where there was an Atlantis, or maybe there were giants, or there was some other advanced civilization, and I would encourage people to go look at Ancient Apocalypse on Netflix. The Graham Hancock, great journalist, showing structures all over the world, highly advanced, even more so advanced than we are now, things that we would have difficulty constructing now, that existed, and we don't have a lot of information on those. And archaeologists continue to just kind of dismiss all of this stuff as like, random or not important. And all of our ancestors were all just simple hunter gatherers, when I think we can look at the pyramids or any of these other structures and go, no, there was some advanced cultures here, whether they're aliens and they left, or old civilizations that were wiped out. Every civilization's got a story about a flood. I never really necessarily believed in the biblical flood, but if you have all these civilizations talking about the same thing, then you kind of have to think, well, there probably was a flood, but it was, thousands of years ago, and people have forgotten about it or dismissed it. And it's so long, we don't appreciate it because we don't live long enough to see all of these things. So who knows?
So how did this topic make it into the top stories today? What was it that got you thinking this morning about this topic again, in particular?
I think it was because Stephanie shared that link yesterday from the Joe Rogan Experience with Eric Weinstein, and then I was kind of thinking, oh, okay, well, maybe we could talk about that.
If we have a future, it means we can leave not the planet but the solar system. We can explore. The cosmos are traversable. If we can leave, anything else can visit. If you look at the entirety of the universe and you imagine that ultimately there are societies that destroy themselves because they get atomic weapons before they figure out how to leave. Some societies are smarter than that. And they'll be able to leave and colonize the cosmos. And for them not to be here would be madness.
Like, is this real? You just see too many of these things, or you see coincidences, and you're just like, what is the purpose? Or is this all just fake? It's all for show? Or is it all some kind of a test? I don't know. We're still, that's the age-old problem, trying to figure out why we are here. What's the purpose? What happens? Are we on a prison planet? Are we just being, there's so many different angles and theories out there of what this is all about. And so many cultures have so many different answers, and then just trying to find what makes the most sense, learning as much as you can. Or whether you want to just stay under a certain umbrella of what people want to believe. Some people are very rigid in that. Like, you've got to believe the King James Bible and take it to a T and don't question anything outside of that, or you're inviting demons and you're entertaining, but maybe they're right. Like I said, you can't really dismiss everything unless you can really, prove something wrong, which we can't. So we don't know what happens when we die. We don't know what else is out there, and how things work. We're very infancy of our evolution here, trying to figure things out. Meanwhile, we're just trying to survive day to day with all other craziness going on.
We have the comment here, Vishnave Maharaja saying it's all Maya. Krishna is running the whole construct, all explained in the Vedas. Srimad Bhagavatam. In that the law of one makes the most sense.
Oh, I think I've got that book. I haven't read it all. Oh, goodness.
It is real in a way, but an illusion. What book do you have?
Brian. Not looking.
What is it? Wait, show me again. What is that? The raw material?
No, look at the top. The Law of One, the raw material.
Ah. Oh, okay. The Law of One.
David Wilcock talks about this book all the time. I don't know if you know that, but there is a lot of interesting info in this book. I have not finished it. It's like from an advanced alien civilization spreading wisdom to the humans. I'm probably not explaining that entirely correctly, but something like that.
Yeah, the ancient aliens theory makes so much sense. It just connects so many dots. It just when so little of what's going on passes the sniff test. It's so absurd. Yeah. That just kind of, it gives you a different perspective.